What is up, everyone? I have returned after basically a year-long hiatus, but we're back now, back on the game dev grind, and we're starting with Blender. But just before we get into that, I want to let any returning viewers know that in my pinned comment in the comment section, I will kind of explain why I took a break, what happened with the Kingdom Hearts Rogue Mix project, and how I'm going forward with the channel compared to before. With that said, let's dive into my return to Blender. So what we have here is a demon inspired from the Batwing demons in Anor Londo of Dark Souls 1. What you guys see here is the absolute final product with retopology, rigging, and animations done, and I'm really satisfied with the result here, and I'm just hoping that a lot of the process speeds up with more experience. Of course, there's an infinite amount of learning I can do to improve in the future, but comparing this to my previous work, I'm pretty happy with this, and it's important to note that most of my work that I do in Blender will be specifically for game dev, so it might affect how many details I leave in or I'm okay with showing. For example, up close, you'll definitely see a lot of the details from the original sculpt kind of lost and smoothed out, but once I zoom out and angle it similar to how the model will look in-game, you won't really notice those differences, especially once it starts moving around you and you're more concerned with how it'll attack rather than the details on its torso. In terms of the workflow for the project, I'd like to create a separate video on a completely different sculpt for how I did all this stuff as a complete beginner, but for now, here are 3 general tips that I found super useful and could be useful to you too if you're also just starting out in Blender. Tip number 1, create copies of your work. Not only is this generally a good thing to do with any work you produce, but for the case of Blender, let's say you're really happy with how the model is looking and you're about to make some significant changes that require experimentation, or you simply don't know if it'll turn out good, creating a copy of this point will allow you to roll back to this version and do a fresh attempt should anything go wrong or not work out the way you want it. For me, during the retopology stage, I had to attempt it 3 times before getting the result I wanted in the 4th, and having a copy or checkpoint of the finished sculpt helped me just restart and correct my errors on a fresh attempt, rather than potentially band-aid fixing issues instead of getting them right from the start. Tip number 2, research. Lots and lots of research. There are hundreds if not thousands of videos and forums for a single topic on Blender, so if you're struggling on a certain part of the project, whether it's retopologizing, UV mapping, or even blocking out, just look up exactly what you're working on and just absorb information. Look at how others do what you're trying to do, how they set up their workspace, and really try to understand the methodologies behind what you're watching, rather than simply copying it so that you can produce it in the future if needed. Obviously, doing research for learning how to retopo, bake, rig, and animate were things me and other beginners are just gonna have to do, but I also went ahead and looked for plugins or add-ons that can make anything easier or more convenient to do. I'm an absolute noob when it comes to sculpting, so I found plugins and add-ons and brushes that will just do and create the details I want. And there's also plugins already in Blender you just have to enable that can set up and get you immediately started with retopology in one click. Knowledge is power type deal. Get on Google and just look up everything Blender has to offer, because you might stumble across some things that might be of great use to you. For the 3rd and final tip of the video, don't forget about the bigger picture. Throughout this whole project, I found myself so concerned about these little details that weren't exactly do or dies and spending too much time on them when they didn't even show in the final product and use case. So don't forget to quite literally take a step back and frame your entire model in the camera to represent how it'll actually look, because maybe that detail or part that doesn't look good to you will even be noticeable. That's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's any Blender enthusiasts who want to share more tips and resources that can be useful for beginners or really anyone, feel free to comment so we can all learn from each other and continue to make great stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.